from doodle to cover art in 50 seconds, or if you have only 4 gigs of VRAM, 40 seconds. It's a totally free offline ComfyUI workflow that is rather faithful to my simple sketches, and I'll show how to set it up in this video. You can recreate depths from these images in the same way the ChatGPT does it, but here you can get the idea of how it actually works, and you can get full control without the censorship. And it doesn't have to be clickbait, oversex girls. It can be any prop, a potion, a sword, or anything else I'll show in the video. This is the time AI can be used in real creative pipeline, open source, no subscriptions, no censorship. Let me show you how. Are you new to ComfyUI? Start with my free guide on AI models and how to get ComfyUI set up. I'm Anton Nitsky, a 3D concept designer with over 15 years in games and animation. Most recently, I worked on Marvel Rivals. Before, I worked on Penguins of Madagascar and more. The faster models like SDXL that tends to screw up the hands, it is possible to fix them with Flux, which is a heavier model, and it is a more complex workflow that I show on my website with a lot of other different features. Don't get confused with this 3D to AI title because I deal with just an input image. It can be a photo, it can be a sketch, it can be a 3D render. Meanwhile, let's get started and build our workflow. I open ComfyUI and let's start this preset. I will start with the standard image generation preset, so that saves us a little bit of time. Here we have our model loading nodes. Then we have the positive prompt, which I can rename to be positive prompt, negative prompt, change, right click, change color to green, right click, change color to red. I will click and drag this out. I want to space this stuff out a little bit. Control click, drag, so I can pick multiple stuff at the same time. Let's start building the network. I will look for load image node, which is a default node we have here. One of the old images here. I can pick a sketch. I have a reclining girl here. And I do want to resize this. So this is a square image. I want to deal with square images. It's easier to deal with square images in general. I want to resize it to something that can be divided by 8. And SDXL models have been trained on 1024 by 1024 images. So I will look for the resize node, double click, look for resize image. And you can see how I have a bunch of the custom node packs installed. I'll be using the Essentials resize. You do need to download the Essentials pack from Customs Nodes Manager. Go Manager, Custom Nodes, Essentials. This one is the one we need. I will plug this in and type in the values. 1024, Control C, Control V. Then instead of using the empty latent image, I will be using my original image, but I do need to encode into this latent space. For that, I need to use the VAE encode. VAE is a variational autoencoder, so double click, look for VAE encode, plug in the VAE from our checkpoints, from our AI model, and then plug in the image into the pixels, and then go drag the latent space into the K-sample is our node that's going to calculate everything. And I don't need the empty latent image at all. I want to use a different model than what we have by default. This is 1.5 Stable Diffusion. I want to use Stable Diffusion XL. I often use Juggernaut XL that is placed in cv.ai. It's a free download. I will put the link in the description. Also in the description here, you can see the settings that you need to use in the case sampler. Once you downloaded that model, you need to place it into the ComfyUI models checkpoints folder. I have a few here already saved. Then inside ComfyUI, you need to refresh the browser, just Ctrl+R refresh, and it will list all the new files from that directory. So I have my Juggernaut XL, and I can already change the values to what we need. These values by default are pretty good. This is the steps is our quality. You don't want to go over 50. It will not add much to the quality. And for the speed reasons, I'll keep it to 25. It gives pretty good results. Then CFG is a classifier free guidance. It basically means how much freedom we give to AI model. If I put values above 8, it will like 9, 10, it will start to burn the image. It will start to look a bit weird. It will get a lot more contrast. If I drop it to 6, it will give a bit more freedom to the model to interpret the prompt. It can be a good thing. And if I drop it to something like 3, it will basically start to create a noisy image. It will not look any good at all. I keep it around between 6 to 8, basically as the recommendations on cv.ai website. For AI to read the sketch, we need to build a depth control group that will read the depths from this tiny little sketch. And if I double click, first what I need to find is depth anything version 2. This comes with another custom nodes pack. If I go into Custom Nodes Manager and look for depth anything version 2, you will find it here. This one says it's not installed, which is a little bit funny, but it is what we need. Then we do need a depth anything model. For that, we will go into the model manager and look for depth anything model. This is the one I downloaded. After you download it, you need to just refresh the browser. And I will plug in an image here, and I want to change the resolution to match the values. Sometimes I change the resolution. I can go a bit higher because that gives a bit better face. I can go to 2K. It gives certain artifacts, which I will demonstrate. And since I don't like to change the resolution all the time, what I want to create is I want to introduce an integer and number input. I will go look for integer, and you can see here this int stays for integer. It comes from ComfyUI easy use pack. I can find it and download it. I will put a value of 1024 here, plug it in everywhere. So if I decide to change the values or make it a bit higher quality, I can then just manipulate this value and it will change all 3 parameters. So don't have to retype everything all the time. Then this depth anything can create a depth map. That's what we need to read the sketch and pass it to the ControlNet. That will later help to generate the image that's responsive to our sketch. For that, I need to create a preview image, so I need to see what's happening, and I can already run this. So if I go pick everything, Control left click drag, Control B, I will bypass all these nodes so we don't have to load that. And then if I click run, it will create a depth map out of this particular image. You can see here it's somewhat an okay job. SDXL will understand the figurine and everything around here. To make it better, it's good to fill the sketch up. I mean, if it's a sketch, you can just fill it with a pen. I can also use Photoshop and fill it up with fill tool. Go around. Here we go. We got the filled image. I've loaded the sketch, and let's run again. And it will now generate the depth image faster because we already loaded this model into the memory. You can see here it's a better representation. Here it's a little bit vague in terms of the foot, but overall it's a better job than it was doing just before. Let me pick all other nodes, Control B to unbypass it. By itself, this image doesn't integrate with the AI model. We have to help it. We have to fit it into a ControlNet node. So I will look for ControlNet, apply ControlNet. This is a standard node. We don't have to download anything. I will plug in the image inside, and we do have to plug in the prompting lines, prompting outputs. That then will go inside the K-sampler. And then also the VAE, we need to drag it here, and then we have the ControlNet. I will look for ControlNet, load ControlNet node. We'll plug it into the ControlNet input. And right now I'm using a Stable Diffusion ControlNet. The ControlNets are extremely important. Every ControlNet is different for different type of models. We have one is Stable Diffusion 1.5. It has its own ControlNets. We have SDXL. It has its own ControlNets. And we have Flux. It has its own ControlNets. In fact, when you hear about a new shiny AI model that came out on the market, quite often it doesn't have any ControlNets. I mean, that new shiny model, it might be great for prompting, but it's not great for any actual work because you just have zero control over it. To find a SDXL model, we need to go into the manager and model manager and look for SDXL. You need to find ControlNet SDXL depth. This will give you this one. I don't know why it shows it's not installed. It's actually been downloaded and I have it already on my computer. And here you need to again refresh your browser, and I will go pick the depth SDXL ControlNet. That depth model then can read the depth image and pass it to K-sampler and mix it with the AI model from the checkpoints node. And this is the whole setup. Now I only need to prompt. In this case, I will prompt walk and where I go, reclining in the grass field. And let's hit run, and I will open the command line and let's see what's going on. It will take a little bit of time to load the model. So the first prompt on this laptop, which is at about 4 gigs of RAM, it will take, I think, about 40-60 seconds. My guess was good. It was 65 seconds, and we got something that's not looking that great. I can fiddle with the prompt a little bit, but the pose is correct, so it got it. You can use ChatGPT to help you with prompts. So I will type in this prompt. You can read it if you want. And then I want to change the sampler. This variables here, they help to guide the noise generation. I will go with these two components. Apparently, they help with photoreal generations. And let's run it. This time it will should run faster. Maybe in 40 seconds, we will get it done. This is what I get was better prompt. It still sucks. And the reason is I haven't changed the ControlNet strengths. I need to drop the strengths from 1 to something like 0.55. The lower the value, the more freedom it gives the AI model to interpret the image, interpret the pose, and it will achieve a better result. If I'm really putting it at the maximum strength value, it's trying to adhere to the pose as much as possible, and it starts to give crappy results. There we go, a lot better. The hands, yeah, that's pretty typical. The hands are not great. The face is not great. There are ways to improve it. One way is to increase the resolution of this whole thing, and I can increase it using my integer node right here. I can go to 1536. I need to make sure that our numbers are divisible by 8 because the latent space is compressing the image by 8 times. It will take longer to render, but also what it does, which is a little bit funny, it tends to make the body longer. So if we go by 2048 by 2048 resolution, the limbs will get too long and quite funny. This image is a demonstration of stuff to getting longer. And this getting longer, I think here it's actually 1536 by 1536, still elongates the anatomy. Well, of course, it depends on the sketch, and I'm doing these thumbnail sketches, and the anatomy, the proportion, they might not be really good, but at 2K, it will look very alien. And normally people run everything at 1000 pixels, and then they use upscalers, which I also provide on my website. And these hands are a huge problem. I normally use Flux to fix face and hands. In this case, this generation wasn't really great, and it is typical. I was showing like maybe 1 in 5 generations will be really good. You have to keep on running and running, and for that I can go into this run window here and go to run instant, and it will keep on running, and you can leave it running for overnight, and you'll get like 1000 renders, which you can then pick the best ones. Basically, cherry picking is what everyone does there with AI models. Don't believe the marketing videos of anything. They always cherry pick. AI still has to be handpicked. AI still fails very often. While this renders, I can introduce another node. This is coming from RGThree pack. I will type in RGThree compare. This is the image comparer. We can check between two images. You need to download RGThree Comfy custom pack. So what I want to do, I want to plug in image B, and I want to plug in image A from my original sketch, and that will allow me to drag the slider and see before and after. That's an easier way to see how the sketch was turned into an AI image. And after 83 seconds, I got this one. This render was pretty good. This hand is not too bad. That hand kind of crap, but I also would say not too bad. The face is okay. Generally, it's a pretty good pick. It just needs to upscale and fix down the line. Let me use this hammer sketch for further demos. I want to drop the resolution to 1024, and I want to change the method of cropping this image to fill and crop. This way, it reduced the resolution to 1024 on the longer side, and the other side will be relevant to that. It will be maybe 716 pixels. It's not optimal. In my tutorials, I actually talk about sticking to a particular resolution, because if we have a site with some random numbers, 511, 537, it can cause issues and it can produce bad generations. Sometimes the batch can go bad, but I mean, like, not everything, but maybe like 1 in 5 images will look like very noisy. However, it's a very quick way to load up non-square images and run with them. For the prompt, I'll use Thor hammer. We got rather nice hammer here. And I made a little mistake, right? You can see that this image, it doesn't cover the whole sketch. Fill and crop is forcing the square, and I need to change the method to keep proportions. That will keep the proportionate resolution, and I press Ctrl-Enter to run the generation. And I've got the full coverage for this image. And this is how our depth map looks. Looks very basic. I mean, we got it from a sketch. It's pretty surprising what we can get. Let's try this image. This is my sketch. It is a Photoshop sketch with different guns. I will type in a very simple prompt, and I got a gun collection. Pretty nice. This is the depth map. Let's try the sketch, which I did like 20 years ago. And I will type in this prompt. Quite a cool depth map. And this is the result. It is quite close to the sketch. You know, if I look at the hoofs, anatomy of this, the saddle itself, very close. I can increase the strength of the ControlNet from 0.5 to 0.7 to maybe catch the tail better. And of course, I might need to specify the tail in the description of the prompt, and I might need to specify the head to get a better result, but it is quite impressive. SDXL is great for computers with lower VRAM, 4 gigs, 8 gigs. If you go higher VRAM like 16 gigs, 20, 24, then you can start using Flux. Flux produces higher quality results, gives more variation, it adheres to prompt a lot better, but it is a lot slower as well and demands more VRAM. If you're interested about expanding this workflow and introducing different functionalities, especially for processing multiple images, check out my website. There's also prompt lists, so you can apply multiple styles to the same image on the fly. I do give this 4-day discount with this new video. The links are in the description, and see you in the next one.